Mr. Stockin,
Present.
Mr. Fanton, Mr. Curran,
Here.
Mr. Decker,
Here.
Mr. Havey,
Here.
Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mrs. Hopkins, Mrs. Root,
Here.
Mr. Crandall. 9 members present.
Next is the approval of the minutes from August 9th. Can we have a motion for that, please? I didn't see, okay, Mr. Decker, the motion, Mr. Curran with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Clerk of the Board, Brenda, really, you have a couple items for us, please?
I do. The first one is a request to accept a check in the amount of $2,362.82 from NYMER, representing the settlement on the cost to repair water electrical damages in one of the pods in our jail.
Okay, could we have a motion, please? Mr. Havey, second, Mrs. Root. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Next one, ma'am.
Yes, my next request is to create an account clerk typist position in my office. I can certainly expand if you have any questions.
I'll move it for discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Healy moves, Mr. Havey seconds. You want any further explanation,
I think that's probably sufficient.
or, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. County Treasurer, please.
Good afternoon. I would like to ask to have a position created and filled in my department, a confidential secretary. I believe all the paperwork you have in your packet. If there's any questions, I'm willing to take any questions on that.
Could we have a motion? Mr. Havey, second, Mr. Fanton. Now, are there questions, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried.
Thank you.
Mr. Minor, our interim county attorney, had one item. He's not been able to stay for this meeting, so county administrator will.
Sure, I can take
Present.
care of this one. So Mr. Minor is asking for permission to fill the second and third assistant county attorneys. We do have an offer made on third assistant to Mr. Moore. Aaron Moore was our former third assistant county attorney. He just vacated that position a few months ago and is willing to come back. And I believe he's ready to start in September if you approve filling the position. And I believe Mr. Minor is still looking for a second assistant at this time.
You have a motion? Mr. Healy, second, Mr. Fanton. Now, are there questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just what is the difference between the second and third?
The salary is the
I
same.
know that this,
It's
Go
this
ahead.
order of succession.
okay.
So
thank you.
second would be in charge when first and county attorney aren't there, second's not there, then third is in charge.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Harris.
Ms. Knapp, can you refresh my memory one more time on the number of positions in the county attorney's office?
Sure, there's the county attorney, there's the first assistant county attorney, second assistant county attorney, third assistant county attorney. So 4 attorneys, 2 secretaries.
And all 3 assistant county attorney positions are currently vacant?
No, I'm currently holding the part-time first assistant until we can hire some more backup.
Thank you.
Yep.
Which of those positions assumed the responsibilities that have now been taken over by the DSS attorneys?
We have traditionally had the second and third do most of the DSS work, along with the JDs and PINs. JDs and PINs prosecutions fall squarely with county attorney. We can't have the DSS attorney do that. I believe that's what Mr. Moore will mainly handle, are those family court proceedings that are not DSS related.
And it's your estimation that with the addition of the 2 DSS attorneys, there's still sufficient reason to hire 2 more attorneys in the county attorney's office?
We've been pretty busy this year, and there's a lot of work still left to be done. We do need a lot of policies rewritten. We've had record number of resolutions this year, and there's rumors that someone would like the board rules rewritten too.
I guess,
We will be putting some extra projects on Mr. Moore while he's here, but his primary focus will be to pick up all the JD and PINS prosecutions, which does keep that office busy. That's actually where Mr. Minor is right now, is over in court handling those matters. He can't be here. And obviously, you want an attorney here at your board meetings and not just doing those things.
okay, but when we originally created those DSS positions, it was under the assumption that we'd be eliminating positions in the long run in county attorney's office. Am I correct?
I think if you keep that as a permanent solution, you probably will be. So I don't know. Right now, I believe Ms. Case has one filled, but not the others, and we'll see how things progress. But
Okay. Thank you.
yep.
May I just build on
Mrs.
that?
Hopkins?
So just to follow up, and I thank Mr. Harris for his questions. The position right now that that they have an offer in on another person that is interested in filling the third assistant position, is that not a permanent position for that person, or is it understood that that's temporary until things quiet down?
It's a permanent position. They'll be coming here full-time. You need at least one full-time assistant in that office. And I believe the intention for the second assistant will be looking for someone that may like to be county attorney. We could possibly appoint them to that position and see how they fit with the office before appointing them as the county attorney themselves. But I don't believe we have a candidate for that position at this time.
And the first assistant would,
Eventually, when it's all sorted out, I would no longer be working in that office and we would bump all these people up. But
Okay.
right now, because there is no backup for Mr. Minor and he is working part-time, we need somebody in this building on a full-time basis that has some legal authority to sign documents. And since I was there before, Mr. Minor appointed me.
okay,
And
so
it's just part-time.
you're actually the first assistant?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that clarifies.
Other questions? Mr. Barnes?
Yes, just to back up, last year, how many attorneys did they have in the Social Services Department?
They had 0.
Okay, and part of that work was done by,
It was all done by county attorney.
county attorneys. So now we have how many attorneys in the Social Services?
You have 4 positions, but you only have 2 part-time people. You have Mr. Minor working part-time, and then you have me filling in as needed.
In other words, there's 4 positions and there's 2 more positions to be filled in the.
We'll be filling one with a full-time person. That'll be Mr. Moore. And then Mr. Minor's working on an hourly basis, and I'm here filling in as needed. The goal would be to get a county attorney and at least one full-time person as an assistant, which will likely be Mr. Moore, and then re-examine the rest of the vacancies after Mr. Minor and I are no longer in those positions. But we need some temporary hires in these positions. We can't just eliminate these positions, or else Mr. Minor and myself will have no room to hire anyone. So we need those positions to remain open so we can put bodies in them so that we can slowly work our way out of a job.
So could you tell me what the goal is, that how many attorneys they're going to have in DSS and how many in the county attorney's office?
I think there's because we haven't had DSS attorneys before, so Ms. Kays needs to hire people and she needs to find people too. The end goal is to be determined. I think we could come back here next year and maybe Ms. Kays hasn't found anyone other than her one person, and maybe Mr. Minor has found other people to be county attorney, and you might retract some of those positions in DSS. On the other hand, maybe Ms. Kays finds the people that would be more willing to work there, and Mr. Minor's new hire, his county attorney, would be happy with just 2 people. I think it's something to be examined as we find attorneys. There's an attorney shortage all the way around, and it's not just those 2 offices looking for people. Our district attorney had trouble. We're getting ready to advertise in the public defender's office. We have trouble elsewhere with attorneys. So it's a very competitive spot. We want to keep our options open and flexible for the right attorneys.
It sounds to me like the county's going to have more attorneys working for them than the rest of the county put together as far as.
don't think right now we have less attorneys than we could ever have spots. I think our goal is to keep the spots open until we can find where the bodies go and then eliminate the extra spots. So it's no one's intention to hire any more people than we ever had to begin with.
Thank you.
The real question, Gary, is who's on first? See? Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Is there any old business to come before the committee? Any new business? Good of the order? Motion to adjourn is in order. Mr. Fanton? Second, Mr. Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we sit adjourned.